Hello people and welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, hello.
Doing something a little bit different today.
We don't know what this is going to be called. It might be called something like the right question or a different question or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, for regular viewers, this is a new format. We're trying it out on you. Let us know what you think. First of all, please go to That Pedal Show store and buy stuff.
Indeed. We've got t-shirts and pedals and hats and all the stuff that you'd expect to find at That Pedal Show store is appropriately there.
It's the main way we fund the show. So the reason we're doing this today is we're in a period at the moment of pedals where we are being bombarded.
Overwhelmed.
And not just us, but everyone. If you open up your social media feed and you follow guitar sites and pedal sites, you'll be whacked around the metaphorical psyche with all kinds of input from new pedals.
I'm seeing the end of Titanic and she's pushing him off the door and it's just pedals. It's just drowning in pedals and down Jack goes in a sea of pedals.
So for you, the question is, oh my God, there's so much stuff. What the hell do I buy? That's a question that we all struggle with all the time. The question for us is we get sent so much stuff. How on earth do we deal with it all in a way that makes sense? So what we're going to try is, there's 4 things on the board today, and we're going to try and figure out a question that we have that maybe isn't dealt with in some of the official demos and reviews that you see online. What are me and Dan interested in about these four pedals? So we'll try. Let us know what you think, and we'll go from there. Straight in.
All right.
Ross, there's been so much hype about Ross recently because Josh Scott of JHS Pedals fame has essentially relaunched the Ross brand. Again, if you want the history, go onto the website, read all about it. But briefly, late 70s, 1977. Ross tip-in alongside MXR Boss when the compact pedal revolution happened.
Yeah.
And you can go to the website to hear more about that. Introduced a range of pedals.
Yes.
One of which was the Distortion, which, Dan, as we know, is kind of a continuation of a theme.
Yeah. So I like the way Analog Man puts it, that when Ross came along, there was a bunch of designs out there, notably MXR, and Ross
with the Distortion Plus,
and with the Dynacomp and a few of these things, and then Ross released basically their own version of it with a few tweaks.
So there's nothing new, kid. Nothing new
under the sun. But one of the things that they did was the Ross Distortion.
Sorry, I should qualify that. What I meant was when you see pedal brand X doing versions of Boss pedals and blah, blah, blah in 2023, it's nothing new. It was happening back then is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. It seemed like the first pedal comes out and someone's like, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and it is how the first pedals were born, by the way. One first pedal comes out and then all the others. Anyway, we digress. We promised we weren't going to do any tangents.
No. Good luck. All right. So...
yeah, MXR Distortion Plus, DOD 250, and it's basically a op amp hard clipper. But the question is, does it sound like the original?
Yes.
And I'm assuming that this hasn't been done in all the official demo videos. We have an original. We got to say a massive thanks to Johnny Duffett, who is an old mucker of That Pedal Show. He came in many, many years ago and we did a show on vintage amps. And Johnny brought in a whole bunch of vintage amps and we had some really good fun. Anyway, because he's a lovely guy, he said, I've got this old Distortion pedal that's really brilliant. You should have it. And he gave us an original 70s Ross Distortion.
Yeah, and a glorious thing it is too. So straight off the bat, the distort and level, but on the new version, it's called level. On the old one, it's called output. And the distort and level are around the opposite way.
Around the wrong way.
Around the wrong way. Is my OCD is going,
no.
OCD is like...
So when Ross and JHS say it's exactly like the original, A, it's not. And the first question we have, which is not about the sound, is are they made the same? I'm going to show you some pictures now on screen to show you what they look like inside. And that's there's no judgment on that. It's just to say that they are not the same. They're very different, the way they're constructed. Have I shown you the pictures?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One is predominantly modern surface mount type components, very tiny. This one is old school, as you'll see in the pictures.
Yeah, but that was the technology at the time. That's,
Yeah.
You know, they were created. You know,
Yeah,
that's what they had.
Please accept it as a statement of fact, not of judgment.
Exactly.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a new T-shirt.
So let's get into it then. What is interesting on this one is the new version does have a switch on the side. Apparently, through its life, the Ross Distortion had both silicon and germanium, I presume, clipping diodes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not to be confused with silicon or germanium transistors. Very different things.
Very different things, yeah. So important in this, because it's a hard clipper, the way the distortion is made, those diodes have a significant effect on the sound, as you will hear. So the original ones existed in both silicon and germanium form.
Right.
Germanium came first, silicon later.
Yeah.
So let's start with germanium, shall we? Out. Ready, Dan?
Indeed.
I wonder what the settings are.
Hampstead, got the old Hampstead back in action. Ugh. And this is new and rather lovely.
Yeah, Marshall Blues Breaker.
Well,
It's just
not new, but new for us.
a reissue Marshall 212 Blues Breaker combo form with the JTM-45, made famous by Eric Clapton in 1965. Blah 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 blah. We swapped it for our JTM-45 head.
Yeah. And I think we did well in that deal. Sounds fantastic.
It does. It does sound really good. They're both on all the time. Dan's got a new guitar as well, so we really got no idea what we're listening to. Gagne then. What we can hear immediately between the two clipping diode choices is the silicon seem to be a bit louder, bit less clipping.
Right.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you perceive it?
The germanium is it's smoother, but there's a bit more sort of what we call stuff around the note. The silicon is the edges are more firm.
Yeah.
Whereas the germanium's a bit softer.
Definitely softer, but I feel like I'm hearing a bit more high end. Just try again. More pronounced mids with the silicon.
Yeah.
Kind of bit more fist, for want of a better, if you're looking for a technical term. I prefer the silicon ones personally.
Sure.
In that mode. Let's turn the distortion up. Keep going.
That's righteous.
Really good.
It's a righteous noise.
Yeah, I think if you were playing a bit more rhythm, you wanted it to sit underneath, heavier overdrive or distortion, heavier distortion, with that presence of the germaniums, I think that works great.
Yeah.
I think the silicon really comes into its own where you need the projection of the single strings.
It'd be nice to have that on a separate foot switch, because that actually works really well as a boost.
Yeah, and it's seemingly subtle, but actually just that little extra kick in the mids and a little less fizz on the top. Really cool. Really
Yeah.
like it.
Great. And
Sorry, I took over. Dan's Jag has quite the resonance behind the bridge, and that you were just kicking into feedback with the high gain there.
Yeah, I love it. But so, there's a classic sound to that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a modern high gain wah thing.
Yeah.
It's
brilliant.
It goes straight back to that 70s.
Yeah.
You know.
And it is pushing these amps a little bit. Both amps are all slightly on the edge. So you will be hearing a bit of amp breakup as well, which is how we like it. We did get criticised that for that recently, where people said the amp should be perfectly clean so that you can only hear the pedal. We're like, nah.
No, stick it into a mixing desk if that's what you're after.
Yeah, it's part of a system. It's part of a system. Okay, so the test du acid, Dan.
You have to, because the knobs are the wrong way around. You start at 2 o'clock and then
Yeah.
outside.
Well, my favourite sound was at 2 o'clock, as you can imagine.
Of course.
Go on.
Of course.
So we'll switch between the two, and we'll see if we can get them sounding similar and see which we prefer.
Sorry.
What are you hearing? This is it. The new one is in the germanium mode, by the way, at the moment.
There's a lot more output on that one.
Yeah.
That one is softer. The mid-range character is a bit different. So
I'm going to use another technical term.
it's gone.
Chewier.
Chewier. Yeah, a touch chewier.
More mid-range.
Yeah.
And less fizz.
And is it that sort of the way it's limiting is a little bit different. It feels a bit more compressed.
So you feel the clipping is different.
Well, just very slightly. I mean, I think they're really close.
By the way, you're going to get a huge amount of component drift over time
course.
as well. So we're not expecting them to sound exactly the same.
But the question is,
does that one sound the
does
same
our
as
one sound the same as that one? And
Yeah.
there's definitely difference. I really like that. There's a specific sound that this thing has that if what I wanted was that classic rhythm thing,
Yeah.
I'd probably
You go with that
jump
one.
on that one. But there's in the silicon mode
Yeah.
where it's a bit bitier and it's like a bit more
Well,
presence.
let's try the silicon mode then. Let's switch between them in silicon mode. See what you think.
Go on. You
All right, I'll play.
Raj.
So it's obviously going to be a lot louder in silicon mode. Let's see. Killer. I just want to try the other extreme a sec. Let's max the output and turn the overdrive down and just see what happens off the volume pot. One of the cool things about the original Ross Distortion was the input impedance was pretty low.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a big part of that interplay with the volume.
Yeah, it can mean that cleanup is a little easier. It's one of the factors that make cleanup a bit nicer. In fact, let's do that. Let's see what we've got.
So straight away, because there's more output on this one,
Yeah.
you can get that cleanup going. But with this one, with the output turned all the way up, as soon as you start to go down, there's just not enough volume coming from it.
Killer. All right. Does it sound like our original? No.
However, if I had to choose between them,
You choose the new one.
that has a very specific job, which I really like.
That in its sweet spot, I choose that every day of the week.
Yeah.
That there's something about the mid-range that's very classic.
Yeah.
That's very. This one always has a hardness.
Sure.
It always has a fizz, which could be perfect in a mix.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like the way there's enough level on that if I just wanted to push in a little bit without adding too much gain, because obviously when you dial the distortion in, you are increasing like level inside the circuit, adding that gain, so it gets louder. But if I want that just a little bit broken up thing and the ability to turn it down, I think on a pure practical level, that one will do that job
To have the extra
better.
output.
But I agree. There's a specific sound that one's got that, if that's what you're after, you can't really
Yeah.
beat it.
Yeah.
But I think I think I love that germanium silicon thing.
Having the option.
I'd actually consider doing a mod and putting that on a foot switch, because I think that actually works really well as a boost. But yeah, it's really cool.
Nice.
Really cool.
Okay, question answered. Let's move on then. Thorpy the Dane MkII. Thorpy and Pete Honore, both great friends of ours.
Beautiful people.
Take that for what it is, with all the implicit biases that it would imply. Implicit implication, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah,
System 1.
firing. The Dane MkII. So what they've done in Mark II, the Dane has been around for 5 years at the time of filming this video. Congrats to both Thorpy and Pete for that.
Yeah.
The Dane is a two-sided pedal. It has an overdrive and a boost side. And the boost side is very loud and very wide open and very clean and very massive.
Mm-hmm.
Another favourite Thorpy pedal of ours is the Heavy Water, which is a two-sided boost. And it has on one side of it a different kind of boost. It has a little bit of clipping in it. So all they've done, or I say all they've done, what they've done is they've put a boost that's more similar to that side of the Heavy Water on a switch. So you can have the original Danish Pete full open massive boost, or you can have the Heavy Water clipping boost.
Then we're back in the room.
As if by magic, a Heavy Water has appeared. What are our questions then?
So the question is, does the Heavy Water side of the Dane sound exactly like the Heavy Water boost that you and I have become rather fond of?
Yeah, and a supplementary question is, which boost in the Dane do we prefer?
Okay, so
you heard a bit of the Dane at the top of the show. We'll start there with both sides on, and then we'll turn the overdrive off so we can just hear the boost.
okay,
Groovy?
groove henge. it is so flippin' killer and aggressive and right in the ear hole. It's an amazing. It really is an amazing sounding thing.
So one criticism of the Dane's boost, and maybe side one of the Heavy Water, is here's the minimum amount of boost you can have.
It's so loud.
It's quite a lot.
It is a lot.
It's quite a lot. Now, if you keep playing down, one of the interesting things is you can affect the bottom end of that significantly, and that does have a massive effect on your perception of volume.
Okay.
So just keep playing a sec. You might not think that the bass cut boosted sound on its own sounds very nice. Where that really comes into its own is when you feed it into another overdrive pedal or something like that, like a treble boost. So that's what that's there for. But it does have a significant effect on your perception of volume.
Yeah.
So let's have a listen to how we think they differ in the Dane. I'll switch between the two boosts. Keep going.
Very interesting. One is chewing and clipping a bit more.
Yeah.
But it still retains that sizzle, which I really like.
Yeah, yeah. So it's definitely, I could hear it immediately as I switched. You definitely lose some of the punch, some of the attack, and it is subsequently a little quieter. Just hear that with humbuckers a sec. Dan, if you switch between the two. Just going to dispense with the humbuckers for a second. One of the reasons I love boosts so much is because they add a bit of oomph to a less powerful guitar. So
show there. Just we don't need any more. That's amazing. That really does sound extraordinary.
So we love that.
Yeah, yeah. One thing that, just to mention, as soon as we go to the DP side, it becomes fat or fatter, and there's a little bit more sizzle, right? But I don't know if in the mix, it actually, that girth
will come through, yeah.
might actually be a problem. Well, not a problem, but less effective than you might think. I mean, in the room, it's like stick a fork in we are done.
For single notes, the extra girth
is amazing.
The extra punch, the extra mid range is amazing.
Yeah,
but
I just think that going back to the HC side, in the heat of battle. There might actually be, that, because just hearing it side by side like this, you think, of course, every day of the week, be on the DP side, but actually...
Yeah. Well, the other thing, of course, is to turn it up a bit, and let's see what happens when you turn it up and see what that's doing to the front of the amp. We might push the preamps a bit here. It's kicking this Marshall in just the loveliest way.
It's beautiful. But so as soon as we go to that sort of context, the other side, the heavy water side, sort of for me, every day of the week.
You prefer it?
Definitely. Because
feels a little easier.
Yeah, because you're not trying to all that bottom end.
Yeah.
Which sounds really lovely in a sort of lower volume thing, but when you're actually pushing the amps, it doesn't need all that extra bottom end.
Yeah.
It just tightens things up a little bit, and it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah. And of course, if you're using humbuckers, that might become even more relevant at that point where you want to get rid of some of that bloat. Okay, so let's remind ourselves what the heavy water sounds like then. Where are we? We're about there. So Dan, if you could, I'll leave that where it was.
Okay.
This is the heavy water side on the Dane, and we're set on the clipping side of the heavy water there. So let's just switch between the two and see what we think. Seems like the heavy water's got a bit more. Sounds a little bit louder. I'm going to cut some of that bass out again. One thing's just occurred to me. Let's just check we have got the heavy water the right way around. I think that's the more clippy side. Can you switch between the two sides a sec?
Yes. Yeah, so that's the DP side. That's the
that's the less clippy side.
Yes. Okay.
Killer. I mean, it's close enough.
Yeah.
And maybe the taper pots are slightly.
But it's the for that feel and tonality, it's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is really awesome. I want to, now that we've got that dialed in though, I just want to make sure that. Because one thing about the Dane is that boost is going into the gain stage. It's not after. And I don't think you can change that.
Really?
Yeah. The boost is on the front end.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I know. But that's the way Pete likes it. He's Danish. But that is to give that gain stage, so he can go from a lightly breaking up thing into a more raucous.
Come on then. If you're confused about why I asked why would you put the boost first, it's a very common way to do it, by the way, but Dan and I tend to like our boosts afterwards as a make louder device. Because look what happens when you turn the overdrive off.
You don't want to get that wrong.
The transients become
Just amazing.
just colossal. It's a fair play to Thorpy and Pete as always. It's a nice reminder of what a brilliant dual pedal it is.
Yeah.
It's a nice reminder of how much we love the Heavy Water.
Yeah.
And the boost in general. Just that kind of unapologetic, massive amounts of huge boost. Works great for juicing overdrive pedals ahead. I'm a huge fan of it on single coils, particularly on a Strat, for adding that beef and just giving you for single note stuff, for clean stuff. I obviously ventured into a bit of John Mayer territory there. For doing that without having to work so hard, you can just get so much more out of this when you've got that.
Yeah. So I want to hear what it's like with now we've heard the boost side going to the gain stage. I want to hear it with the Heavy Water after, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, so 2 seconds.
We did say we were going to try and whip through this and do it fairly quickly. Regular viewers will know that is a basic impossibility for me and Dan, so this has turned into a long video. It's probably worth mentioning it at this point, seeing as we have tangented. We are going to do single pedal versions of these. It will only be 10 minutes long, so we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Cool.
So let's get these set up to the boost side, so they're the same. So you play, and I'll. So
what you're going to hear now is boost before overdrive and then boost after overdrive.
Okay.
And then maybe all three. My introduction to playing guitar live as a kid was from a lot of very groovy older dudes who knew how to do it.
Right.
And the instruction was loud, louder, loudest.
Okay. So, yeah. So what they need to do is a V3 where there's a boost on both sides. Man.
Just for you, it could be the DP sandwich, Pete, and you know how much you're going to love that.
Yeah.
With a lovely fat boost either side.
I love the way that boost reacts with the overdrive in the front of it.
It's great.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So, yes, the boost side of the Dane, for all intents and purpose, is identical to the Heavy Water, apart from the individual things on the pot, where you might need tweaking.
Yeah, it's similar enough to not matter.
To not be it's exactly.
Yeah. Which one do you prefer?
Well, I love the Dane, but I have to have my boost post.
Yeah. No, I mean, which boost mode do you prefer?
I think they both have their place. Like, for example, when we're sat here just playing and just being inspired, especially at a bit lower volume, I want that extra fatness, and perhaps because there's a difference in the mid-range as well between the two.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the one that's fat, it's got an extra sizzle, but I promise you, in the heat of battle, every day of the week, it's going to be on the other side with more mids.
What, the one that clips more?
Yeah, the Heavy Water side.
Yeah, the Heavy Water clip side.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the same. I'd want the DP boost for single note stuff and clarity, and I'd want the heavier clipped version for rockin' rhythm and humbuckers, and just a bit more kind of like around the edge.
Yeah.
Groovy.
They're
All right.
very, very cool.
Shall we finger click down and talk about the Nano Deluxe Memory Man?
Indeed.
We don't have enough electro-harmonic stuff off on the show.
We don't.
Phenomenally popular, pedals at brilliant prices, sound ace, amazing history in effects pedals. We don't need to go over the history. It's a crime that we don't have more on the show. However, electro-harmonics is responsible. Dan has 3 favourite pedals in pedal history, and 2 of them are by electro-harmonics.
Indeed. My Memory Man and the Electric Mistress, Flanger.
Yeah. So this is an original deluxe Memory Man from when?
So this, I'm going to say, this is actually around, is it the...
19...
Yeah, 19... So there's been a bunch of these. Like the first one came out and it was just 3 knobs down the side, no modulation, a straight analog delay.
Yeah.
And then... and that mains powered, and there was another mains powered version of this, and then the 24 volt version of this, which is what this one is. And then they started releasing all manner of deluxe Memory Man, or, the Memory Man, I should say. There's the TT 1100 versions that with the tap tempo on them. Which we have, and, the Memory Toy, and it's such a classic sounding delay that we can hear on popular music forever.
Totally impractical, breaks down a lot, pots go screwy.
Yeah, 24 volts.
Yeah, but the reason that it's covered in doodles is because a certain master songwriter of his generation and his whole family borrowed it for a tour because it's the only thing he can get to sound like this.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So
Who is Daniel?
This is Neil Finn. Oh.
Yeah, and Neil and his family doodled all over it at Dan's request to give him a memory for his
memory man.
grandchildren, should you ever have any.
Indeed.
Shiver. So the Nano Deluxe Memory Man is obviously a very small reproduction thereof. Highly cost effective. The question is obvious. Can it sound anything at all like the old thing?
Yeah.
Give us a demo of the old thing.
Fingers
Dan.
crossed. Okay.
How do you like to set the old thing?
Come on.
He's really fizzy about this new guitar. That guitar, that, and that is doing nice things. All right, number of questions. Was that maximum delay time?
Yeah, I actually just a little bit off it. So maximum delay time on this runs at about 330 milliseconds. I think this is a little bit longer.
And Dan likes that thing where the sound of this pedal is all in, having plenty of repeats and having that regeneration set so that it starts to oscillate. And it almost becomes a bit like reverb.
Yeah.
If you think about the new Keeley Andy Timmins Halo pedal, there's two of these in one box, and you get that Halo kind of sound. So that's what you love about this.
I do.
That particular, as it starts to oscillate.
Yeah.
And there's a character to the sound of the repeats that is very specific to this pedal.
Yeah. I simply cannot get what this does from anything else. And there's lots of, that's not to say, there's lots of other delay pedals that sound amazing. I don't have this on my board.
It's too much hassle.
It's too much hassle, and it's old, and the pots are a bit scratchy and stuff, and it's like, it's a pain. However, there's something that it does that I just...
Let's see how close we can get then. First thing, let's get the delay level the same. So delay time, we're there. We need a bit of modulation.
Yep.
First observation, the waveform of the modulation is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very, very uniform. That feels less so.
Okay.
Are you agreeing with that?
Yeah, so I have the chorus that says chorus vibrato.
Yeah.
It's just on. So it goes from there. Actually, let's say it's about a quarter of the way on.
Yeah. So let's see if we can just listen to the actual waveform of the original Memory Man.
Yeah.
So on this one, it's got a definite rise and fall.
Right.
So the waveform feels less smooth, and it feels like the peaks are bigger. So we turn the depth down a bit.
Okay. Oh, so the modulation on that has separate depth and speed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why that's a 6-knob version. This is a 5-knob version.
So I up the rate a bit to get the rate right, but now the depth maybe feels like it's too much. Keep going. There you go. Sorry, I couldn't hear the speed. It also feels variable in that. It feels like it's changing.
It doesn't surprise me at all. It's just...
Whereas that feels more uniform.
Yeah.
So how are we then? Come on, we've got this far. How are you feeling?
So there's a mid-range in the repeats in the small one. This one, have listened to the bottom end and the repeats of the... So this is the... Yep. You hear how on the repeats that goes straight to a mid-range thing, whereas the original has got more bottom end in the repeat. So...
Yeah. It's crunchier too. The old one's crunchier.
Yeah. It's really good. I mean, man, it does a great job. There's something about... There's still something in those repeats that isn't quite, but I mean, it's really close. It's really close.
Every time you play it, you instantly stop playing.
Right. Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Literally every time. You don't want to carry on playing it.
Right.
Why is that?
Because of this. This is part of the problem. You can hear it, right? You can hear that
All day long.
right. How do you define it? Because I can't. I can use words like that once. There's a fatness to it, and it just feels direct, and it doesn't feel. It creates a sound, but it's not like. It's an effect, but it's like just becomes part of. I don't even know how to begin to describe what that thing does, because you could say sonically, you could say, oh, they're really close, but I turn that thing on and I'm gone.
Yeah, so I'll attempt by saying that the reaction from what you play, there's all kinds of things like compression, there's the way in which the note comes back at you, there's the way in which the note goes in the first place, and that's all fundamentally different in the new one. And it's not to say worse, right? Because if you, well, Dan would say it's worse. If you affirmative,
I'd much prefer that.
yes, okay, that's a better way to say it. How much more do you prefer the old one? On a scale of 1 to 100.
Yeah, there is, for me, I would use that all day long. I have other things that I would use instead of the memory. Instead of the
Yeah.
how, but it's not to say that it doesn't sound good, because it really does, and it might just be the difference between my old knackered.
Yeah. Well, the
Memory
question
Man.
is, the question we had was, does it sound like your old Deluxe Memory
There we
Man?
go. Yeah.
No. Couple of things in the Nano's favour before we go. A, much longer delay times. So if you
Show me the delay time.
if you did want to get longer delays, you can have them. So bear in mind we're basically maxed out on the old one here.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And the new one the old one can't come anywhere close to that. Secondly, you've got this really cool boost function. This does kind of have that, but you can boost if you want. So. it's a really nice boost,
Yeah.
which you could use for if you want to play softly and you just need it to be a bit louder, that's cool. But you could also use it as a really decent amp boost.
So if you imagine that, I mean, let's set up let's go back to that delay sound that we had, but we add a boost. So, and then we'll kick on an overdrive, but use that for the solo boost where you're adding delay and boost at the same time.
Oh yeah, great shout.
You know what I mean?
The last thing I just wanted to say before we do that is I just want to test the mix control, whether it goes fully wet. I don't know if it does, but...
Oh. This gives me an idea.
So if you've got a situation where you need 100% wet, kill dry,
Sorry, because it does that on the old one as well.
oh, one does it as well?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So there we go. This is a really good thing. So we can now hear exactly what's going on without the dry sound involved. All right. So it's the original.
Warm.
Fat choir of angels. Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
We've done too much on this. Let's not do the boost. Let's not do the boost thing.
No.
We've got massively tangented. Okay then.
Météore.
Caroline Guitar Company. Hello, Philippe, if you're watching. Philippe Herndon, who I had the great pleasure of meeting at this year's NAMM breakout event with Chase Bliss and Meris and all the other lovely people there in Anaheim. Again, we've been totally remiss at not having more Caroline stuff on the show over the years.
Yeah, the stuff is awesome.
Superb reputation, very, very individual and unique. We've chosen the Météore, so called after line 14 on the Paris Underground, Dan.
Okay. Have you ever done the Paris Underground?
Yes.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
That gothic architecture style, I love it.
Well, apparently the line 14, which I don't know because I can't remember, is very sleek and modern.
Oh.
Anyway, that's its inspiration for the name. It is a lo-fi reverb. So our question is, how does a lo-fi reverb differ from a hi-fi reverb?
What is your initial thoughts on hearing about a lo-fi reverb?
Distortion,
Yes.
less pristine highs,
Yes.
and chewiness in the reflection.
Okay.
So I'm thinking if I could evoke that in another way, I would think tiled bathroom with some blood and sick on the floor.
Okay. Interesting. My initial thought.
Sorry, sick is vomit in the US, by the way.
My initial thought is just no.
Oh,
Why would I want lo-fi in my reverb?
I see.
You know what I mean? It's like if I want reverb, surely I want big open spaces. Why would I want to bring that down? So I'm really interested to hear this.
Okay, why don't we start with a hi-fi reverb then? We've chosen the Golden by UA as a kind of version of a hi-fi reverb. It is Universal Audio's digitally modelled, whatever phrase you want to call it for the way UA models sounds, versions of really classic reverbs.
Yeah.
And in here there's a spring which we won't bother with, a plate and a hall.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to turn the reverb off
yes.
on here.
Good shout.
Squidding.
So here's a nice plate reverb then. Well, here's the dry sound of the amp.
Beautiful.
Right. Sorry, I turned the boost on just to give me a bit more
It,
technical term.
I like it.
Again.
So, to me, that is a pristine, beautiful, luscious sounding reverb.
Makes me
right?
want to do things like that.
Yeah.
Play single notes, let it go,
Yeah.
play lovely big chords that sustain.
It's a sound that you can play.
Yeah.
Right? You can. That sound will lead you to do things.
Yeah.
I love that.
What I don't want to do with a sound like this is go. While huge reverbs like that and overdrive and complex playing can be a cool thing, it's not where you really want to go, is it? Not where I want to go.
Yeah.
So, Philippe, what do we know about the Météore then? First of all, we got some gain in the preamp.
Okay, which is top left? Oh, okay.
We've got the
I'm trying to guess what those characters mean.
Well, this one's pretty obvious, isn't it?
I thought that would be gain. Oh, that's mix.
It's actually level.
Okay.
Out, yeah. This is regeneration.
Okay, yep.
Makes sense to me. This is the size of the reverb.
Aha.
This is gain. So
You got input gain and
naughty.
output level, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the switch is dark and bright, which makes perfect sense. Nice sunny morning and something else.
Okay.
Come on then.
Okay.
Let's see if we can determine. Oh, this is on and off. By the way, the switch on the left is on and off, and then the one on the right is like a hold switch,
Nice.
Instant regen type thing.
Okay.
Groovy. So straight off the bat, the thing we've got, which I don't think you can get rid of, is quite a significant pre-delay.
Okay.
So instantly you've got like a slapback,
Okay.
albeit quite a fast slap, or quite a long slapback.
Have a go on that.
It's really killer.
It makes you want to play.
Yeah. It's soundtrack stuff, isn't it?
It's
I know that might be a terrible cliche,
but it's atmosphere.
Yeah,
it's wow.
Just written a song.
It just makes you want to play.
Just written a song.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Wow.
Texture. So killer.
I did that. I was not expecting that. I was expecting like a bit crushed thing.
Reminds me a little bit of that pedal we gave to Mike Venart.
Yeah.
The Jupiter Effects.
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember what the current draw is?
I think it's really small.
Really low. So
Yeah.
we're going to say it's probably a good deal of analog stuff in there. Probably.
I don't think so. There's a chip that a lot of people are using.
That doesn't take much.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
just doesn't
so-
take a lot.
Look at that for flipping System 1 biases down. I think because it sounds good, it has to be analog.
Yeah, right. It really does sound superb.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Philly, I'm glad that the first outing of Caroline pedals on that pedal show has been one that's inspired us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really awesome.
And a reminder of just plugging it in, turning some knobs, seeing what comes out.
Yeah. Because I had that preconception I had of the lo-fi thing,
Yeah.
just a world away from what it actually is.
Really cool. Really cool. Any standouts and surprises today, Daniel?
The Météore has been my favourite of the new things.
Yeah.
I love the Dane. It's great.
Yeah.
They've done such a good job. I think they're all great. The pedal that made me want to play was the Météore.
Happy days.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Really,
okay,
really
more
great.
Caroline stuff coming first. Good. Let us know what you think about this. We are going to do versions of these where it's just one pedal, and we'll get to the point very quickly for those of you who can't sit through a long video. And just see, because we do think that, just to reiterate the point of doing the show in the first place, the way media is now, a new pedal comes out and all the people do the demos and the company puts out their demo video, and quite often the question that's first on one's lips is not answered.
Yeah.
And nor would you expect them to do so. So we are going to try to do that
Yeah.
with the questions that come first to us and the things that interest us. So if there's anything you want to see, we don't want to say what sounds best. We're never really interested in that.
No.
It's a much more qualified question than that, and hopefully that's what makes us slightly different.
Yeah. What I like about it is I had very, as we talked about, very specific questions about these things.
Yeah.
And I found the whole process fascinating
Great.
because it's like, it really answered for me, my preconception of the lo-fi thing. I think Josh has done a great job on the Ross.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I was really glad to hear them side by side.
Yeah.
Against the old one, because that old one is really special. It's like, wow, they've done a really good job. And it's, more flexible. I am going to take a drill to it and see if I can put a foot switch for that thing. But I think it's really cool. Questions answered. I like it.
Nice. Good. Thank you very much for watching. Please go to thatpedalshowstore.com and buy stuff. It's the primary way we fund this show, enables us to keep doing what we do, and we're forever grateful for that. Another way is to check out some of the links below. You'll see links through to various retailers. If you click those and buy something, then that helps us out too.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Thanks to our preferred retailers. Links below. Have a fantastic day. Oh, patrons on Patreon. Don't forget, the Monday VCQs you get as a podcast, and also our monthly giveaways to our patrons.
Yes,
as well.
big thanks to everyone who's a TPS patron. It means a great deal to us. Thank you.
It really does. Have a fantastic week, and we'll see you on Monday, hopefully internet allowing, for the VCQ.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.